Counseling services are available today for friends and classmates of a 13-year-old girl and her mother who died in a helicopter crash in Hawaii. We have the very latest on that investigation.
And it'll be a wet and possibly slippery commute today, and more winter weather is on the way. Hattie has the details in our First Alert forecast.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us on a Monday morning. It is December 30th. I'm Josh Breiter.
I'm Keely Arthur. Great to be in with you, too. Always a treat to work with you guys.
Yeah, good to have you here. Final Monday of the decade, ladies.
I know, when you put it that way, it's hard to believe, isn't it?
Oh, my gosh.
A lot of pressure for some reason. Like, what are we going to do with this day?
I know.
We only have 48 hours left.
And you're saying we are going to expect a bit of a cool down.
Yeah, quite drastically, actually. Yesterday, you probably left the coat at home. Today, don't forget it. It's an alert day in the area. Light snow is expected to move in this afternoon and start accumulating across southern Wisconsin. That may make for some difficult travel conditions later on today. We have winter weather bulletins that are in effect for the area today. It's a winter weather advisory for those counties shaded in purple. Our far northern viewing area, that's Juneau and Adams County, under a winter storm warning. Here's what's happening on the radar map. The rain has changed to a little bit of light snow north of Madison as temperatures drop to around the freezing point. Temps will hold steady today, and that likelihood of snow really starts to increase through the afternoon. Take a look at your snow probability forecast, really ramping up after the lunch hour, becoming likely this evening through overnight, but coming to an end by early on Tuesday. Now, what does that mean for travel around the area? Well, this morning, travel conditions are pretty good. We are seeing a little bit of light precipitation, though, some drizzle here in Madison. Could be some freezing drizzle in spots with temperatures right around 32 degrees. No major issues, though, to tell you about right now on any of the area roads. Here's a look at your travel forecast over the next day and a half or so. Those road conditions do start to deteriorate, Josh and Keely, later on today with that snow accumulating for the area.
And I know yesterday and some other days are the really big travel days, but we should expect a lot of drivers with the New Year coming up.
That's right, yeah. Heavy travel, lots of movement this time of the year.
All right, thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
To the headlines this morning at 6:02, members of the Madison community continue to mourn as a local mother and daughter were killed in a helicopter crash in Hawaii. Amy Gannon and her 13-year-old daughter Jocelyn were named as two of the victims from that crash over the weekend. They were touring an area along the Nepali coast while on vacation. Gannon was the co-founder of Doyen, which serves to empower female entrepreneurs in the Madison area. For Heather Wentler, Gannon's business partner and friend, the news is still hard to believe.
I didn't even think that could be someone I know. I just never even thought something like this could happen. It still doesn't feel real to me. It still feels very surreal in that I'm either going to wake up or Amy's going to call me.
The remains of 6 victims have been recovered so far, but a 7th is still missing this morning. Efforts to recover that 7th victim have been suspended, and the scene is now in the hands of the National Transportation Safety Board. Jocelyn was an 8th grader at Hamilton Middle School. The Madison Metropolitan School District says they're offering counseling to students and families today. The Hamilton Middle School Library will be open from 11 to 1 for people to gather and comfort one another. A support team will also be available when classes resume January 6th.
Churchgoers took down an armed gunman in Texas Sunday. Authorities say a man opened fire during a church service, killing 2 people. Then 2 armed parishioners returned fire, killing him. The incident was recorded on the church's live stream of their service. A man is seen standing up at the back of the church before pulling out a shotgun and opening fire. Authorities say other members of the church quickly sprung into action, using their own weapons to shoot and kill the man within 6 seconds. Church members say the shooter appeared to be wearing a disguise during the service.
Shooter was sitting next to my mother, and so she's the one that recognized that he had a fake beard on and fake sunglasses on.
If evil's going to try to do something horrible, evil's going to do something horrible.
The FBI is still investigating a possible motive for this shooting.
The man who attacked a Hanukkah celebration in New York this weekend is pleading not guilty to 5 counts of attempted murder and burglary. Police say the suspect, Grafton Thomas, wounded 5 people at the celebration hosted at a rabbi's home before driving off late Saturday night. All victims were taken to the hospital in critical condition. Thomas was later arrested after the attack. His bail is currently set at $5 million. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is calling the attack an act of domestic terrorism.
We're learning more about the Madison woman who police say was shot and killed by her own brother on Christmas Eve. 63-year-old Sheila Green's friends say they are remembering her for her smile and her baking and for how she always made everyone feel welcome. She was one of Jeffrey Spritzer Resnick's first friends when he moved to Madison in the 80s. He says Sheila always spread joy no matter where she went.
I mean, she just always had a smile on her face. I mean, you couldn't be around Sheila without feeling her joy. She's just a very happy person. It was not a fake smile or anything like that. It was just a genuine smile, and just a beautiful person to be around in that kind of joyous way.
Green's family is asking for privacy following Sheila's death. Her brother, Joseph Green, is being held on a $1 million bond and faces charges of first-degree intentional homicide.
Georgia Congressman and civil rights leader John Lewis says he has advanced pancreatic cancer. The 79-year-old Democrat is vowing to keep surfing while he fights the disease, although he will miss some votes as he undergoes treatment in Washington. Lewis has served in Congress since 1989 after helping lead the civil rights movement in the 1960s.
The Wisconsin Election Commission is meeting today to discuss what to do about the more than 200,000 voters a judge says should be purged from voter rolls. The affected voters are in heavily Democratic areas. Democratic election officials say this brings about concerns of voter suppression in a key swing state for the 2020 election. Republicans argue people can easily re-register, including on the day of the election if they were removed from the polls.
More campaign 2020 coverage in Milwaukee, where a group is working to increase the turnout of black voters in the coming presidential election. Canvassers from the group Block are reaching out to the city's predominantly black neighborhoods. They say voters in these areas have been neglected economically and politically for years.
The surprise of the 2016 election is you actually have to campaign black people as well.
Back in 2016, Hillary Clinton did not campaign in Wisconsin during the general election. A lower turnout at the polls from Democratic voters helped to flip the state in favor of then-candidate Donald Trump by less than 23,000 votes.
Spotify says they are staying out of politics in 2020. The music streaming service announced Friday it will no longer accept political ads. Spotify says it doesn't have the ability to validate the ads. The political ads will no longer play in its ad-supported tier for music streaming and its original and exclusive podcasts. This does not, however, include ads in podcasts not owned by Spotify.
6:07 right now. Thousands of Badger fans are getting ready to jump around and turn the Rose Bowl into Camp Randall West. Our team is in Southern California for the big game this morning as well. We'll have a report from downtown Los Angeles as our coverage continues.
But first, it's been a while since it felt like winter around here. Hattie has everything you need to know before you head out the door in her full First Alert forecast next on News 3 Now this morning.
For consistent, reliable storm tracking, watch First Alert Weather. Go to
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. Just some light drizzle right now here in the backyard weather patio. The pavers underneath my feet are damp but not wet. The rain has generally come to an end for southern Wisconsin. It was a pretty wet night, but now we transition over to some snow for today. It'll be mainly this afternoon when some accumulating snow starts to fall across southern Wisconsin. Combine that with some gusty winds, and there could be some slippery spots on the roads later on today. Let's take a look at the winter weather bulletins that are in effect. It's a winter weather advisory until midnight tonight for areas north of Dane County. That does include the Dells, Sauk, and Columbia counties, as well as far southwestern Wisconsin. A winter storm warning further to the north from there, including Juneau and Adams counties, again today until midnight. Here's a look at that snowfall forecast. Generally 1 to 3 inches of snow is expected for far southern Wisconsin, but those amounts do increase a little bit as you head to the north. 3 to 6 inches possible heading into central Wisconsin. Here's a look at Doppler track zoomed out around the area. You can see how large this storm system is. It's generating snow in the Dakotas right now and some rain across Michigan, some pretty heavy rain at times. In fact, here in southern Wisconsin, the warm air has been replaced by some cooler temperatures. So we're starting to see our rain change over to a little bit of light snow, mainly north of Madison. As we go through the afternoon, that snow will start to rotate around through the area. It is 32 here in Madison with some light drizzle falling. Not much of a wind at the airport, but there is a little bit of a southwest wind here at the station. Temperatures are pretty close to the freezing point all around southern Wisconsin, so some of that drizzle could fall as freezing drizzle early this morning. Here's a look at our wind speeds. Generally from the southwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. They will definitely be increasing through the day today. Wind chill not a huge factor right now, but it does feel like it's in the 20s, and that's a big change from the weather that we experienced yesterday. Our future track forecast model says, remember the jacket today. It is December after all. We're looking at temperatures holding steady in the low 30s. After lunchtime, that's when that snow starts to spread into southern Wisconsin. That will work its way south and east, covering the entire area this evening into the overnight hours. Snow should come to an end, though, pretty quickly on Tuesday morning. Here's a look at your entire 10-day forecast. It looks like we'll close out 2019 on a pretty quiet note. Just cloudy skies tomorrow and breezy conditions. A little bit warmer for the first day of 2020 with a high of 37. Now let's get a look at those first alert traffic maps. We'll send it over to Stacy K for all the details. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning. It is a wet start for your commute today. Some freezing drizzle will be making the ramps and bridges a little slick, so slow down and give yourself a little extra time. No problems, though, in either direction on the Beltline, but it does look like it's getting busy near West Broadway on the westbound side. Other roads here in Dane County, just fine. Just some of the usual brake lights popping up on Stoughton approaching the Beltline. And other main routes heading into Madison, moving along, no crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacy K.
Stacy K and Hattie, thank you both very much. Well, thousands of Badger fans are waking up in Southern California this morning ahead of the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day.
All right, Eric Franke, and I'll give a shout out to photographer Brian Mesmer. Flew out to LA yesterday, and they have more this morning on how some fans made the big trip.
For decades now, Wisconsin fans have made this a pilgrimage of sorts to come to the Rose Bowl every time a Badger football team qualifies for the trip to Pasadena. And on Sunday, charter flights packed with those fans made their way from Madison, from Milwaukee. We ran into several fans on Sunday making this trip out to Southern California, making downtown Los Angeles their home base for the next few days. Those Badger fans packing those sold-out flights came here not just to see a Badger win, but also, of course, to have a good time.
It was awesome. They played jump around. We did pictures.
Were people jumping on the plane?
No, because that would have been super scary. I would have had a panic attack.
For other fans like Michael George and his mother Ann from Trempealeau County, they embarked on a charter flight out of Madison on Sunday as well. It's not so much about the party, but to check something off a bucket list in memory of a loved one.
My mom and I decided to come out for it. My dad passed away a couple years ago, so it's kind of a bucket list thing for both of us, so here we are.
We always wanted to do this, but he was never well enough to do it. He had a heart transplant in Madison, and he died 2 years ago.
So fans come out here, all of them, for their own reasons, but the big thing they want to do is go home with a win. The Badgers and Oregon Ducks on Wednesday, the granddaddy of them all, the 106th Rose Bowl. Our coverage just getting started here from Southern California. Eric Franke, News 3 Now this morning.
Those Badger fans are feeling pretty confident about the team's chances on Wednesday. That might be because Paul Chryst has never lost a bowl game as head coach at Wisconsin. He is a perfect 4-0 since taking over. That means this year's senior class have never lost a bowl game, and they say they don't plan on making that change.
It starts with the coaches relaying the message that we're not here to be on vacation. We're here on a business trip, and then it has to be vocalized down through the seniors and the upperclassmen.
And as the Badgers prepare for the game, thousands of volunteers are preparing for the Rose Bowl Tournament of Roses parade. About 1,500 people are still working on those floats, which all need to have some sort of organic material attached. The parade starts at 10 in the morning on New Year's Day.
So you've got some family actually going out there.
I do. My mom and my sister are going. My mom's birthday is January 5th, which I've mentioned on this show before. And so we kind of wanted to do something big and combine the Christmas and birthday thing.
Well, that's awesome. And happy early birthday to Tina Arthur.
Yes, happy birthday, Mom. I'm always saying happy birthday to my parents, too. And the one last thing I'll say is my sister, my mom, and I went to the Rose Bowl in 2012 when they played the Ducks, who they're playing again. And they lost, the Badgers did. So hopefully a little bit of a redo.
This is the year.
This is the year. All right, our team of Eric Franke, Melissa Kim, and Kevin Lewis are actually in California covering the Rose Bowl all week on News 3 Now this morning and in our evening newscasts. You can also get updates all day long on our website, channel3000.com, and on our Facebook page.
Well, the Badgers fans are hoping the Rose Bowl isn't as stressful as the Packers season finale in Detroit. With a first-round bye in the playoffs on the line, the Packers trailed for most of the game, but Aaron Rodgers was able to snap out of his funk to lead the Packers to a late comeback. A 28-yard touchdown pass to Allen Lazard tied the game with about 5 minutes to go, and then Mason Crosby won it with a field goal as time expired. The Packers will have the second seed in the playoffs after the 49ers beat the Seahawks last night to clinch the #1 seed.
And the Packers may be hosting a playoff game at the frozen tundra, but there hasn't been much freezing going on in Wisconsin lately. That has some people a little worried about the safety of ice fishermen right now. We'll tell you what you should do before your family heads out on the ice.
But first, an alert day is in the forecast for your Monday as Hattie's tracking some rain and snow. That's next on News 3 Now this morning. Welcome back. We're coming off of a pretty warm weekend across the Madison area, but that wasn't the case in other parts of the Midwest. Check out this video out of Fargo, North Dakota, where they saw heavy snow and a no travel advisory. It was issued due to low visibility and impassable roads. A significant number of cars had to be stranded in West Fargo. The city is basically shut down this morning until plows can clear some of that snow. Boy, it's kind of like the tale of two different seasons just a couple of hours west of here.
It was 50 degrees yesterday, record
Oh my
highs here in
gosh.
Madison, and then parts of the country are dealing with that. I know where I was last week, there was snow on the ground, but it
Same
definitely
here.
wasn't as bad as that.
Yeah, we were snowmobiling in Minnesota, so.
Yeah, good times.
It's like, yeah, like 5 hours away, and look at here, it's like almost like summertime.
Yeah, I did the sunblock. I really put on sunblock. You could feel the sun where I was
You
in
said
Chicago.
62 degrees down there?
62 on the 26th. I was outside all day.
Wow.
Crazy. My kids are very happy to have the snow up in northern Wisconsin. Like, finally feels like winter, Mom. Well, they don't have to wait much longer because we do have some snow in the forecast today. Take a look at the winter weather alerts covering most of the state. Now, Dane County and Madison are not included in the winter weather advisory. Snow amounts are expected to be pretty light here, but as you get north of Dane County, those snow totals will ramp up a little bit, and it becomes a winter storm warning for Juneau and Adams County and much of the northern part of the state. So more snow on the way today. Here's a look at future track snow potential. Again, generally 1 to 3 inches is what we're calling for here across southern Wisconsin, up to around 6 to maybe 8 inches, though, as you head into central Wisconsin. Here's a look at the radar map zoomed into southern Wisconsin this morning. It is cold enough for some snow, some light drizzle here in Madison, maybe some light mixed precipitation just to our north and east, but we're generally seeing that rain transition over to some snow already this morning. The accumulating snow will hold off, though, until the afternoon. So as you head out the door, remember, you'll need the jacket today. Unlike yesterday, temperatures will hold steady in the low 30s. We're looking at some drizzle or freezing drizzle this morning, light snow this afternoon. Coming up in just a few minutes or so, coming up in Maine weather, we'll talk about the travel impacts this storm is going to have across the upper Midwest.
Thank you. A word of caution for all you ice fishers out there this morning. This weekend's heavy rain across the state is expected to affect ice conditions. So before you head out on the ice, you're advised to contact the DNR or local expert. Officials also recommend navigating the ice with some careful prodding.
Take a chisel with you and chisel ahead, couple pokes, you know, and then walk forward, couple pokes. You know, if it doesn't go through, that means you probably got a couple inches of ice, you're safe.
The DNR says to stick to the clear ice, which is typically stronger than the ice covered in snow or with bubbles. They also warn there are never true safe conditions as the strength of the ice varies from location to location.
This is a scary one around the state. A couple in Mugwanago sprang into action when they saw 2 kids drowning in an icy retention pond. Tony and Danielle Castro heard screaming, and when they looked outside, they saw arms flailing. Now, they attempted to reach the children while they waited for first responders to arrive, but the water was too deep and ice cold.
They were going under. I mean, at that point, I'm hearing the kids saying, I can't breathe, I'm numb.
I got up there up to my chest, and it felt like I got hit by a brick.
Now, a police officer also tried to save the kids, but found himself already up to his shoulders in water just a few steps off the shore. Eventually, the local fire department's water rescue team arrived and rescued both the children and the officer from the water.
The color of their skin, how cold they looked. The little girl, I mean, she just couldn't stop shivering, covered in blankets. It's heartbreaking. It's not something you'll forget.
Fire officials say the 2 kids and the officer are doing okay now.
Oh, scary situation there.
Of all the things we read, that is really frightening because it really kind of shows the step-by-step and good happy ending.
Oh, for sure. All right, 6:25 right now. This year at the Folk Wars Village's Festival of Christmas and Midwinter Traditions, it's all about getting back into what the holiday season stands for.
And visitors are given the opportunity to focus on experiences rather than consumerism at the village's 5-day celebration. A variety of ethnic traditions are offered, from painting Ukrainian-style eggs to traditional dancing. Officials at the village say it's shared experiences, not purchases, that create a strong bond and impact between people.
I think it's a much richer experience when you're sharing a learning experience with other people, a celebrating experience with other people, than when you're simply just getting a thing that somebody went to the mall and bought.
If you are still making your New Year's Eve plans, the Village is planning a celebratory festival that will last late into the morning.
All right, 6:26 right now, and still ahead for us this morning. We've got the top 3 things you need to know before heading out the door.
And we'll tell you how people across the country braved the elements to honor the memory of a man who founded the Ice Bucket Challenge after he lost his battle with ALS. Thanks for starting your week with us here on News 3 Now this morning.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for staying with us on this Monday, December 30th. I'm Josh Breiter.
And I'm Keely Arthur in for Leah this morning. Let's get right to your top 3 headlines. Counselors will be available today at Hamilton Middle School after an 8th grader and her mother died in a helicopter crash last week in Hawaii. 13-year-old Jocelyn Gannon and her mother Amy were among the 7 people killed in that crash. Amy was the co-founder of Doyen, working to help female entrepreneurs in Madison. Those counseling sessions at the Hamilton Middle School Library will be offered from 11 until 1.
2 members of a Texas church are dead this morning after a gunman opened fire during Sunday service. The shooting was caught on the church's live stream of the service. Officials say the situation would have been much worse had it not been for other members of the congregation who returned fire and killed the gunman. 2 other people suffered minor injuries while ducking for cover.
And we're just a few days away from the Rose Bowl. The team got to Southern California last week and fans followed over this past weekend. There was plenty of excitement with it being the Badgers' first trip to Pasadena since 2012. UW has not won a Rose Bowl since 2000, but Coach Paul Chryst has a perfect 4-0 in bowl games since becoming the Badgers' head coach.
Those are your top 3 things you need to know today, and Hattie's here now talking about an alert day forecast. Hi, Hattie. Mads.
Hi, Josh and Keely. Yes, we have an alert day in the forecast for today. Some accumulating snow is expected to move in for the afternoon. Right now, just some light snow occurring across the area, maybe mixed with a little bit of rain early on. It will turn breezy today, and reduced visibility is expected as that snow starts to fall. Here's the current picture on Doppler track this morning. You can see that there is a mix of rain and snow showing up northeast of Madison towards Watertown and Beaver Dam. For the rest of the area, it's just mainly some drizzle or freezing drizzle at this hour. Temperatures are close to the freezing point, and that's where we'll stay today. We'll hold nearly steady in the low 30s as that snow again spreads in this afternoon. Let's take a look though at that first alert traffic map this morning here in Madison. No major delays, just a few brake lights showing up on the belt line at Stoughton Road. Looking a little busier on Park Street at this hour as well. No major accidents though to tell you about at this hour. You're still going at posted speeds as you head into Madison. Coming up, 3 things that you need to know. We have that snow in the forecast later today, but then it looks like a quiet start to 2020. Temperatures are expected to turn colder and much more typical for this time of the year as we head into next week.
All right, Hattie, thank you. The former Jefferson County Sheriff's deputy accused of burglarizing the homes of people away at funerals is expected to make her first court appearance today. Janelle Garricky faces a charge of felony burglary. She's accused of breaking into homes from February 2018 to June of this year, allegedly targeting homes she suspected would be empty after reading obituaries in the paper. Court documents and property records show one of those homes belonged to Lake Mills Fire Captain Chris Truman, who died last New Year's Eve while helping a stranded driver. Garricky was fired from the sheriff's office in July.
A new study suggests that just 1 dose of the HPV vaccine could protect a person from the infection. Researchers found women who received 1, 2, or 3 doses of the vaccine were less likely to become infected with certain high-risk HPV. That's compared to women who received none of the vaccinations. It is estimated about 80% of people will become infected with HPV in their lifetime.
Dozens of people rushed into frigid waters in Massachusetts this weekend to honor the man who created the Ice Bucket Challenge. Pete Freites would have turned 35 years old Saturday. Pete died earlier this month after battling ALS for nearly 8 years. The Ice Bucket Challenge he started to raise more than $220 million for ALS research.
And the Badgers are getting a lot of national attention for their run to the Rose Bowl. That even includes some members of the coaching staff. Defense coordinator Jim Leonard was one of the finalists for the Broyles Award, which goes to the best assistant coach in the country. Leonard became known for designing a very tough Badger defense that is considered one of the toughest in the country. And that's led to speculation that he could possibly land a bigger job at a bigger school or the NFL. But the UW grad says he has no plans on leaving anytime soon.
There's only one place to do this job, that's home, and that's Madison for me. So that's the draw of staying with the Badgers. And we have a great locker room, we have great players. It's a good mix of guys that are very smart and talented. So I love that. I think it is truly what college football is about, is what we try to preach to our guys every single day and what they value and what the culture of this program is.
Badger fans started arriving in LA over the weekend and will head to the official Wisconsin pep rally later today. Are you feeling good about the Badgers' chances, Josh?
I am. I'm excited about this. And you actually got your mom some bowl tickets for her birthday, an early birthday present.
Yes, my sister and my mom are going to Pasadena. I'm kind of jealous, but they can send the good luck. We'll stay here and root them on.
You've been there before.
I was there when they lost to the Ducks back in 2012. That was hard. I cried. I get very emotional about
Maybe you were the bad luck charm? I don't know.
I know. So we're sending Megan, my mom. I'm not going. Maybe things will change.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, our team of Eric Franke, Melissa Kim, and Kevin Lewis are going to have coverage of the Rose Bowl all week long here on News 3 Now this morning. And in our evening newscast, you can also get some updates all day long on our website and on our Facebook page.
Well, Badgers fans are hoping the Rose Bowl isn't as stressful as the Packers season finale in Detroit. With a first-round bye in the playoffs on the line, the Packers trailed for most of the game, but Aaron Rodgers was able to snap out of his funk to lead the Packers to a late comeback. A 28-yard touchdown pass to Allen Lazard tied the game with about 5 minutes to go, and then Mason Crosby won it with a field goal as time expired. The Packers will have the second seed in the playoffs after the 49ers beat the Seahawks last night to clinch the #1 seed.
Coming up in the morning sprint, we have the very latest on the Hanukkah stabbing that New York's governor is calling an act of domestic terrorism.
And preparations are underway for the big New Year's Eve celebration in New York. We'll tell you what most people say is the top of the list of resolutions when News 3 Now This Morning returns. .39, we've been asking you to share your morning with us, and Diane is sharing hers out of Oregon, Wisconsin. Just a beautiful picture there.
It is so gorgeous, and a good example that we accept sunsets as well. I think she said this is a sunset.
Yes, this is a sunset.
We'll take any gorgeous skyline.
Anything from Wisconsin, too. Like, we always love, especially the color changes this time of the year, and with some snow on the ground in some parts of the viewing area, it's always spectacular.
People can forget how gorgeous the winter really can be here.
Yeah, you really can. As long as sometimes you just want to be inside and check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Diane. Remember, you can always share your mornings with us on our Facebook page.
And it is that time of year to make or not make a New Year's resolution.
Yeah, the Ipsos 2020 New Year's resolution survey is out, and it shows only 38% of Americans will make a New Year's resolution this year. About half of those who will make a New Year's resolution say they'll focus on improving their finances and make eating healthier a priority. Another 30% of people want to improve their social life in 2020.
And as we're getting ready for the new year to start, folks in New York City are getting ready for it to end. Final tests and preparations are underway for the ball to drop in Times Square at the stroke of midnight on the East Coast. The trial run of the confetti rained down in Times Square yesterday, but that's nothing compared to the real deal. when 3,000 pounds of confetti will rain down on the crowds below tomorrow night.
Oh my gosh, I've always wanted to check that out, but I feel like there'd be so many people, it'd be a little overwhelming.
It would be. I am happy to watch it on my couch.
Yeah, same here. That's what I'll be doing. All right, 6:41 right now, and to the weather, we're talking about an alert day in the forecast, and Hattie's talking about some rain and snow coming up in her alert day forecast. That's ahead.
But first, it is December 30th, and we want to say happy birthday to Theo, Grayson, Brindley, and all the other kids turning 3 today. Thanks for celebrating with our family here on News 3 Now this morning.
Look.
Just about 6:45 on this Monday morning, and kind of a cloudy look from the west side to start off the week.
A little gloomy and then maybe a little snowy. Hattie is tracking some snow for us. Hi, Hattie.
Good morning. Yeah, we could see white ground before the year comes to an end later on tomorrow. Let's take a look, though, at what we have this morning. An alert day is in the forecast for today. We have winter weather advisories in effect for those counties shaded in purple. Nothing in effect for Dane County and Madison or Rock County. It's mainly areas to the north where heavier snow is expected. That accumulating snow will start this afternoon, and there will likely be reduced visibility with stronger southwesterly winds. Here's a look at the forecast snow amounts. 1 to 3 inches of snow is forecast for the southern part of the state. Those amounts do increase, though, as you head northward in and around the Dells. 3 to 6 inches of snow is possible. Now, here's a look at what's happening this morning. We do have some light snow north of Madison, also to the south, just south of the state line. Here in Madison and on the west side of town especially, we've definitely seen some drizzle and freezing drizzle at times. That heavier precipitation, though, still to our north. Temperatures are right around the freezing point. So again, there could be some slippery spots this morning. This is a very large storm system impacting areas from the Dakotas all the way into New England today. So this is a large system that will continue to slowly track to the east over the next couple of days. At this hour, we're not talking any flight delays or any major flight delays, that is, at the big airports across the country, but there could be some delays later on. Take a look at your forecast. It's all quiet along the southern tier of the United States. So if you don't have any issues getting out of town, if you're headed to the south, it looks pretty good. Into New England, some rain expected there with temperatures in the 40s, but it's really the Great Lakes region where we could see some flight delays today. Take a look at those forecast travel delays. And again, real close to home today through this evening. So if you're traveling later on today, again, keep that in mind. The roads could be slippery. Then as we transition into tomorrow, some delays possible in the northwest part of the country. Here's a look at our current conditions this morning with some drizzle at the airport. It's 32 degrees here in Madison. Winds are calm. They will be increasing though as we go towards the afternoon. It's down to 30 in the Dells. Janesville still holding steady at 34. Don't look for a lot of movement on those numbers today. Southwesterly winds will be increasing though, so it turns quite breezy with those winds around 20 miles an hour through the afternoon and then staying relatively strong. They shift more to the west-northwest tonight, but still remain around 20 miles an hour. So that'll cause that snow to blow around a little bit. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. At 7:30 this morning, the snow mainly to the north. By lunchtime, start to see that snow rotate around and then work its way southeast through the area. So by 5 o'clock, most of us seeing some snowflakes flying, and then that snow continues through the evening, but it will come to an end pretty early on Tuesday morning. So here's a look at that extended forecast as we close out 2019. Quiet conditions tomorrow with a high of 32 degrees, and then the first day of 2020 on Wednesday, 37. Temperatures are going to cool back down to highs in the 20s as we head into next week. Here's our pet walk forecast. This is from Reggie in Verona. Looks like Reggie likes the snow, so probably happy with my forecast today.
He is embracing it. And as you said, we didn't need coats yesterday. Certainly need them today.
Yeah, don't forget it before you walk out the door this morning.
It is December 30th after all. All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
The morning sprint is up next, but first, we'll be right back. 6:51, time for the morning sprint as we get your Monday started.
And it might be a wet and slippery morning commute. Hattie is tracking an alert day in our forecast, but we start with a developing story out of Madison. Counselors will be available today at Hamilton Middle School after an 8th grader and her mother died in a helicopter crash last week in Hawaii. 13-year-old Jocelyn Gannon and her mother Amy were among the 7 people killed in that crash. Amy was the co-founder of Doyen, which works to help female entrepreneurs in the area. Those counseling services at Hamilton will be offered from 11 until 1 today.
2 members of a Texas church are dead this morning after a gunman opened fire during Sunday service. The shooting was caught on the church's live stream. Officials say the situation would have been much worse had it not been for other members of the congregation who returned fire and killed the gunman. 2 other people suffered minor injuries while ducking for cover.
The man who attacked at a Hanukkah celebration in New York this weekend is pleading not guilty to 5 counts of attempted murder and burglary. Police say the suspect, Grafton Thomas, wounded 5 people at the celebration hosted at a rabbi's home before driving off late Saturday night. All victims were taken to the hospital in critical condition. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is calling the act an attack of terrorism.
We're learning more about the Madison woman who police say was shot and killed by her brother on Christmas Eve. 63-year-old Sheila Green's friends say they are remembering her for her smile and her baking and for always making everyone feel welcome, spreading joy no matter where she went. Her brother Joseph Green is being held on $1 million bond and faces a charge of first-degree intentional homicide.
The former Jefferson County Sheriff's deputy accused of burglarizing the homes of people away at funerals is expected to make her first court appearance today. Janelle Garricky faces a charge of felony burglary. She's accused of breaking into houses from February 2018 till June of this year, allegedly targeting homes she suspected would be empty after reading obituaries in the paper. Garricky was fired from the sheriff's office in July.
And today is an alert day for southern Wisconsin. Accumulating snow moves in this afternoon. Look for reduced visibility with a strong west-southwesterly wind. Several counties under winter weather bulletins. Total snowfall forecast for today, 1 to 3 inches for our southern viewing area. It increases to around 3 to 6 inches for areas north of Dane County. Now here's a look at our temperatures over the next 12 hours. We are going to hold nearly steady right around that freezing point through the day today.
Hattie, thank you. Georgia Congressman and civil rights leader John Lewis says he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The 79-year-old Democrat is vowing to keep serving while he fights the disease, although he will miss some votes as he undergoes treatment in Washington. Lewis has served in Congress since 1989 after helping lead the civil rights movement in the 60s.
The Wisconsin Elections Commission is meeting today to discuss what to do about the more than 200,000 voters a judge says should be purged from voter rolls. The affected voters are in heavily Democratic areas, and Democratic election officials say this brings about concerns of voter suppression in a key swing state for the 2020 election. Republicans argue people can easily re-register, including on the day of the election if they were removed from the polls.
In Milwaukee, a group is working to increase the turnout of minority voters in the coming presidential election. Canvassers from the group Block are reaching out to the city's predominantly black neighborhoods. They say voters in these areas have been neglected economically and politically for years.
And Spotify says they are staying out of politics in 2020. The music streaming service announced Friday it will no longer accept political ads. Spotify says it doesn't have the ability to validate those ads. The political ads will no longer play in its ad-supported tier for music streaming and in its original and exclusive podcasts. This does not, however, include ads in podcasts not owned by Spotify.
The minimum wage is set to go up across nearly half of all states in the U.S. in the new year, but not here. 24 states and 48 cities and counties are increasing their minimum wage. Most start on January 1st. You may remember Governor Evers attempted to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour in Wisconsin, but was rejected. The current federal standard is $7.25 an hour.
As we head into the new year, the Better Business Bureau has some advice on how to make sure your finances stay in shape. In addition to tracking your spending and budgeting, they say the biggest thing you can do is dedicating yourself to paying down debt. Doing that and paying your bills on time should help your credit score. They're also stressing the importance of setting aside money for emergencies.
A new study suggests that just 1 dose of the HPV vaccine could protect a person from infection. Researchers found women who received 1, 2, or 3 doses of the vaccine were less likely to become infected with certain high-risk HPV types. That's compared to women who received none of those vaccinations.
And the Packers will have a first-round bye in the playoffs after beating the Detroit Lions in the final seconds yesterday. Aaron Rodgers threw the game-tying touchdown with about 5 minutes left, and Mason Crosby kicked the game-winning field goal. The Packers will have the 2nd seed in the playoffs after the 49ers beat the Seahawks last night to clinch the top spot.
Thousands of Badger fans will be ready to jump around later today as part of the team's official pep rally before this week's Rose Bowl. We caught up with plenty of fans from the area who made the pilgrimage out to Pasadena. Plenty of red is expected for the game Wednesday after a 6-year absence from the granddaddy of them all. Kickoff is set for 4 on New Year's Day.
Time right now, 6:56. Let's turn it over to Stacy K with a look at your first alert traffic.
Yes, good morning. Freezing drizzle in some areas are going to be making the ramps and bridges a little slick. So slow down, give yourself a little extra time getting to work. The westbound Beltline is picking up between Stoughton and West Broadway. Inbound John Nolan starting to get busy at the Rimrock and North Shore Drive intersections. And other main routes heading into Madison moving along. No crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacy K.
Thank you, Stacy and Hattie. It is looking like winter.
It definitely is, and even more so later today with some light snow expected to move into the area. Right now this morning here in Madison, we're looking at just some drizzle or freezing drizzle. There could be a few slick spots on the roads. Temperatures will hold steady right around the freezing point through the day today. Again, look for that snow later on.
All right, Hattie, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Make it a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
It's the